When gathered with companions, a round of Mario Party can be fun and challenging. But what if you're a lonely, sad, pathetic nerd who has no friends?
I have friends.
The very title of Mario Party infers some kind of group gathering. Unless you're me at my 12th birthday, most people aren't the single attendee at a party. The true magic of a round of Mario Party can't really be experienced without the risk of potentially ending lifelong friendships. But perhaps unbeknownst to most casual Mario Partiers, there exists a mode in nearly every entry in the series, designated for one player.
Believe it or not, solo mode is actually how I experienced the vast majority of Mario parties when I was a kid. See, I was a socially awkward dork who retreated into the quiet comfort of video games rather than growing as a person or having a girlfriend.
These options are there. Nintendo, being the company all about inclusivity, wanted Mario Party to still be enjoyable even if you couldn't gather 3 other people around your N64. The question is, how many of these modes are actually viable as a single player experience? Can they be as fulfilling, or at least as fun, as the core party mode? Well, let's find out. Also, real quick, I know I kind of covered this already, but like everything else in my life, I half-assed it and only talked about like 4 games in the series. As the saying goes, no more half measures. The original Mario Party came out in 1998 for the N64 to generally favorable reviews. It set the standard for the series and even featured a hung Luigi years before it became a meme. Man, this game was ahead of its time. While you can play the main party mode solo, there exists a dedicated single-player experience titled Minigame Island. The goal of the mode is to get through its 9 worlds, each consisting of a certain amount of minigames that progressively get harder the deeper you go. You lose a life every time you lose a minigame, and lose enough and you'll get a game over. As far as the single-player experience goes, it's okay. The change of worlds and increase in difficulty do give you a gradual sense of progression, and there are some stakes with the risk of a game over. But you gain a life every single time you win a game and when you collect 100 coins. So if you're good at Mario Party 1's minigames, there really isn't a challenge. I know I'm complaining about challenge in a game made for literal children, but come on guys, let me have this. Bitching about Nintendo games is the only thing that gives my life purpose. The problem I have with a mode like this is that it's just monotonous. It lives and dies by the quality of its minigames because it has nothing else to offer. The overworld is an afterthought. It's purely aesthetic, and with the exception of these Koopa shells that give you a chance to save the game, hey, that's the name of this channel. It offers nothing beyond the ability to pick the next level. As far as the minigames go, in my opinion, they haven't aged particularly well. Sure, you got classics like Hot Rope Jump and Limbo Dance, which offer a legitimate challenge, and on top of that, some of the games feature alternate goals other than simply coming in first, which helps keep it interesting for those of us who played these games to death in party mode. But somewhat clunky controls have soured some of these games. Teetering Towers features a stiff jumping mechanic and an odd camera angle that caused a couple of game overs for me. And any game that requires you to rotate the control stick makes me wish I drowned on the way to this island. I'm sure Hudson Soft's intention was for players to use their thumbs, but these games are pretty much impossible to beat that way, even against computer-controlled characters. Rotating the control stick with the palm of your hand is pretty much the only way to go, and no joke, it starts to get really painful after a while. Fun fact, this is actually the reason we never saw Mario Party 1 re-released on the Virtual Console. Back when the game came out, players reported injuries from the N64's control stick. Enough complaints were filed that Nintendo eventually reached a settlement where they would send controller gloves to anyone who reported injuries, costing the company around $80 million. Jeesh. I'm sure Nintendo would have thought about this minigame more if they knew it came with an $80 million price tag. In the end, this mode just becomes stale. There isn't anything to break up the experience, and one minigame after another starts to become really grating after World 3 or so. A year later, the second game in the series came out, titled, surprisingly, Mario Party 2. This was probably the Mario Party that I've spent the most collective hours playing. It was always my favorite growing up, because it was the only Mario Party that my local Blockbuster had. Yeah, for some reason, this was one of those games that I would rent over and over again, but never really ended up buying. But it's great. We got new boards, new minigames, everyone wears costumes. Look how cute. The game's single-player mode needs to be unlocked. You have to play through some of the normal boards and gain some coins, then purchase a few minigames from Woody. Yeah, they really thought hard about that name. That leads you to the minigame coaster, which is kind of a misnomer because it looks less like Six Flags and more like some shitty mineshaft. Despite the name change, this is essentially the same thing as Mario Party 1's Minigame Island, the chief difference being that my partner character is on the screen with me to make me try and forget about my perpetual loneliness. And there are also difficulty settings. All this does is change how long the mode is. Easy is 3 worlds, normal is 6, hard is 9. Something I didn't know until I finished normal mode and realized if I wanted to finish the whole thing, I'd have to start over and play through the 6 worlds I just finished again. So here's a YouTube clip of what the end of this mode looks like. Playing this back to back with Mario Party 1 makes me really realize how uninspired a lot of these games are. A lot of them are just straight up copies of games in the original Mario Party, and while they're fun, it kinda defeats the purpose of playing a new game. All the problems Minigame Island had are here too, and perhaps worse due to the cloned minigames. Oh wait, there's no controller stick rotating in this one. Okay, 10 out of 10. Minigame Island can fuck right off. Mario Party 3! Released in Japan at the end of 2000, Mario Party 3 would be the last game in the series on the N64. Man, they really crapped out these games toward the end of this console's life, huh? While receiving average reviews for basically churning out the same style of gameplay without any meaningful changes, things were looking up for those of us who preferred our Mario Party's Sans Party. This time around there was a single-player story mode. We're treated to a story about the Millennium Star, born once in a generation, with a legend that stated whoever possessed it would be destined to become the superstar of the universe. But the Millennium Star got wasted or something and fell out of the sky, landing right on Mario as he managed to relax for 2 seconds. In typical Mario Party fashion, Mario and his friends immediately start arguing about what they should do with the star. But then, Lakitu arrives, dangling a toy box from his rod. Oh my god. The box contains Mario Party somehow, and the group decides they should play the game to figure out who gets to keep the Millennium Star. And you'd think with all that setup and, the fact that there's a dedicated story mode, that what you're about to play will serve as a much more viable single-player option compared to the first 2 games. But no, the quote-unquote story mode just has you playing through each of the game's normal boards. The only difference between this and party mode is that there's some cutscenes. I guess I could use this opportunity to talk about why playing single player in a normal Mario Party board just kinda sucks. Sure, you still got the fun of the board, the mini games, gathering stars and all that, but instead of being able to roast your friends during their turns, you just have to sit there as 3 computer-controlled characters take their sweet time moving around the board. Every single round. The game's default settings also force you to watch them play their own mini-games. You literally can't do anything during these parts. The computer is even the one who decides to click the A button to start the game. There is an option to turn this off, but come on, this should just be the default. Who wants to watch a computer Donkey Kong fuck around in baseball? Now, the end of the story mode does culminate in this boss battle with the Millennium Star, and this is pretty cool. It's a little repetitive, and Jesus Christ, just let me hit you, bitch. But this is good. If there were more minigames or experiences like this that catered toward the solo player, I think this mode could have been a lot better. The most frustrating part about this is that there's a very strong argument for Mario Party 3 being the overall best game in the series. There's a lot of boards, the minigames might be the best of all time, and it was pure classic Mario Party goodness before the series started to go off the rails. But in the end, I have to judge each game based on how it plays as a solo mode, and this one just ain't cutting it for me. The next Mario Party would come out in 2002 and mark the first entry in the series to be released on the GameCube. Next to Mario Party 2, this game is probably the one I played the most. The minigames are great, and the series moving into the 6th generation created a much more aesthetically pleasing game, although they did nerf Luigi's package. Once again, we got a story mode, which serves as a celebration for your birthday. Me celebrating my birthday alone. This seems very familiar. As part of the celebration, you gotta play through each one of the game's boards. God damn it. Yeah, this is basically the same thing as Mario Party 3's story mode. You just gotta play through the normal Mario Party 4 boards with 3 other computer-controlled characters. All the same flaws here. The majority of your time is spent just sitting around doing nothing. However, there is one very notable exception that, in my opinion, does elevate this game's story mode above 3's. Each board ends in a story mode exclusive single-player minigame. They're cool, exciting, and offer an experience unique to solo play. Toad's game has you race to smash the most Koopa Kid heads, Koopa's has you move this platform to put the Koopa shells in place, Boo has you pick cards to get 3 matching, Shy Guy has you finding one object that's different from the others, and in Goombas you have to ground pound these casino chips to get 50 points before your opponent. They may not seem like much, and yeah, it kinda sucks that you still have to play an entire round by yourself to unlock them, but it's nice to see Hudson Soft thought enough about the single player experience to actually include story mode exclusive minigames. The end of the story mode sees you unlock a special 6th level, Bowser's Gnarly Party, and the final Bowser story mode minigame is a straight up 3D Mario style platformer. Okay, maybe that's a bit hyperbolic. Obviously, it doesn't control nearly as well as an actual traditional Mario game, but it's by far the best story mode minigame. It's broken up into 5 different sections. The first is a brief platforming part where you have to avoid the fire and the lava, which sometimes the controls made it more difficult than it should be. Then a puzzle where you have to put Koopa Kid's head together. Another platforming part, and I love how Bowser just kind of plops down the horizon over here. Also eat shit, flat earthers. There's a harder puzzle here, and then finally a boss battle with Bowser. The goal is to trap Bowser in this triangle energy thing and get him struck by lightning until his life is gone. It actually requires, like, strategy. Look, it's not Dark Souls, but I've played actual Mario games with easier final bosses. The problem is, to get there you have to go through the special hell that is Mario Party 4's board design. Seriously, as nostalgic as this game is for me, these boards edge very close to making the game unplayable from a single player perspective. The issue is nearly all of the boards rely on some level of luck to navigate them, and if you're out of range of the star, you're fucked. The first time I loaded the game for this video, I got stuck on this loop in Toad's Midway Madness for the entire game. If you're playing with friends, the experience is kind of funny because watching people suffer for our entertainment is one of humankind's favorite pastimes. But when you're trying to complete the game, it's insanely frustrating to be stuck at the very beginning of the level through no fault of your own. This next game is a little weird. Mario Party E was an exclusive game for Nintendo's e-reader attachment for the Game Boy Advance. So this game never got released on the Virtual Console or anything because it's actually a physical board game that just uses the e-reader for its minigames. So I gotta hop on eBay and buy one. The next entry in the mainline Mario Party series came at the end of 2003, again for the GameCube. Once again, there's a single-player story mode. The plot sees Bowser aiming to take over Dream Depot, the world where dreams are controlled, and replace the world's dreams with his own. Man, that's a weirdly existential Mario plot. Just a quick side note, I think this game might be the one where they officially retcon Koopa Kid as just like a henchman or something instead of Bowser's actual son. I mean, he just refers to him as Bowser here. Bowser Jr. made his official debut a year earlier in Mario Sunshine, so I guess they didn't want to confuse the two characters. But if this guy isn't Bowser's kid, then what is he? I mean, in the entire mythology of Mario games, we've never seen any other creature that even looks close to Bowser. Is he a deadbeat dad or something, trying to deny his parentage? I like how they actually give you the option to choose if you want to stop Bowser. What's the point of giving us a dialogue option that ultimately has no effect on the story? What, was this game made by Bethesda or something? So while it may appear like you're just playing through the normal boards again, Mario Party 5 story mode actually does change up some things to make the gameplay suit single player a little better. You play on modified versions of the party boards that are smaller and shorter. Koopa Kid has a seizure and clones himself, and instead of collecting stars, the goal is to take each of the Koopa Kid's coins. You can do this through items by landing on the story mode exclusive versus space, or by landing on the same space as a Koopa Kid and playing them in a 1v1 duel minigame. Also, in what is perhaps my favorite change from the previous two games, the Koopa Kids all take their turns at the same time. This mode also only lasts as long as it takes for you to steal all of the Koopa Kids' coins. As a result, this mode is so much faster paced and doesn't feel quite as sluggish as Mario Party 3 and 4. The game culminates in a final minigame that sees the player go one-on-one with Bowser himself. Like Mario Party 4's Bowser Battle, this plays out sort of more like a traditional Mario game. The game is titled Frightmare, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, nightmares are already scary, it's kind of redundant. Like in Mario Party 4, the minigame is broken up into sections. First, Bowser drops a bunch of Mecha Koopas on you. You can either stomp them or throw them, and stomping is way easier, but I forgot I could do that, so watch me throw every single one of these like an idiot. After that, Bowser sends fire rings and you just gotta jump and avoid these. Then Bowser shows up and you gotta get him to pound his own fat ass through the floor. The final part has Bowser drink some potion and get big, and apparently he got this from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 The Secret of the Ooze Super Shredder School of Thought, because Bowser's increased size causes him to fall through the floor himself. Bowser's stuck and you just gotta throw some balls at him. So yeah, it's cool. There's less story mode exclusive minigames than Mario Party 4, but the overall mode is vastly improved and much more enjoyable. Our next game is the penultimate Mario Party, released on the GameCube. Loading up my save and, wow, I like how mature I am. It's not even like this file was from when I first got the game. It was made in 2018. I was well into adulthood. From the main menu, we can jump into this little boat into the always exciting solo mode. Yeah, that's a little hyperbolic. In this mode, there are actually 3 completely unique boards to choose from. They're shorter than the typical Mario Party boards and are completely linear, but it works for solo play. This mode essentially exists as a means to unlock minigames faster than playing a normal round of Mario Party. It functions sort of similarly to Mario Party 1 and 2's solo minigame modes, but is like a good version of that. Instead of just going from level to level, you have to roll dice. Each space contains a different type of minigame, and you can keep the game you play as long as you beat it. At the end of the level, there is a rare minigame space, and you have to land on it directly or else you end up falling off the level and losing all the minigames and coins you collected throughout the round. You can choose to end the round before that though, so if you don't feel like risking it, you can always just bounce with your winnings. Overall, I like this mode, and it's one of the better single-player Mario Party experiences so far. I don't know why, but for some reason having the choice to roll dice, the randomness of what minigame you'll land on, and the ever so slight gamble of risking it for a rare minigame just makes this mode so much more bearable than Mario Party 1 and 2 solo modes. It offers just enough that it feels like its own experience, as opposed to some kind of butchered version of Mario Party. There are some little board events and items to collect too, so it's not just minigames over and over again. There isn't any kind of story, but honestly, it's not like the previous games offered much in that department anyway. At this point, the game's solo mode doesn't feel like an afterthought. There's dedicated boards, game mechanics, and it even warrants a tutorial. Overall, I still think I prefer Mario Party 5 solo mode, but this is a close second. The biggest problem comes from the fact that once you unlocked all the minigames, there really isn't a reason to come back here. For our next stop in the series, we're taking a quick break from the GameCube and stepping into the handheld world. Mario Party Advance was the first proper portable game in the series. Yeah, I don't think Mario Party E counts.
Oh no!
And honestly, I've been kind of dreading this one. Not because of my past experiences with the game, I actually remember liking it as a kid, but because it's widely considered to be one of the worst games in the series. And like any self-respecting gamer, I don't form opinions about games until the internet tells me how I'm supposed to feel. Perhaps the biggest change in this game from the rest of the series is that its core mode, Shroom City, is single player. And it makes sense, considering the console it was on. While the GBA was capable of multiplayer via link cable, if your childhood was anything like mine, it'd probably be easier to find the actual Mushroom Kingdom than gather 3 other people with Game Boys, copies of Mario Party Advance, and link cables in order to play a more normal version of Mario Party. Naturally, Hudson Soft needed to mess with the traditional Mario Party formula in order to make this game viable on the GBA. But before you enter the game, you gotta fill out a passport. I gotta make a face. Yeah, that's close enough. Finally, 300 questions later, we've hit the main menu. Bowser ass-pounds Toad and tells him to taste his power. I don't think it's his power that Toad is tasting right now. Bowser throws all the minigames and gadgets throughout Shroom City, and we're tasked with collecting them all. Loading up Shroom City, you'll immediately notice some differences. First, there are only 4 playable characters, the lowest in the entire series. Luckily, Luigi is an option, so I'm good. There's no other players on the board with you, and you travel around in a car. Why does that make me feel weird? The main goal of the game is traverse the world board and complete quests by landing on certain spaces and either playing a minigame or completing a task for a certain character. You move with dice blocks, starting out with only 5, but with plenty of chances to gain more throughout the run. If you run out of dice blocks, you get a game over. So how is this critically panned black sheep of the series as a solo mode? Honestly, I kinda like it. Yeah, I was surprised by this too, but I think this is my favorite solo Mario Party mode so far. There's variety, strategy, and each minigame is specifically designed for the single player experience. All the reasons that this game was panned for compromising on the core Mario Party formula in order to make the game work for a handheld console is pretty much exactly why I like this game within the context of this video's goal. Almost every minigame quest contains a little story, like racing this Cheep and losing convincingly enough to raise its confidence, or teaming up with this Toad detective to interrogate a bunch of creatures suspected of pulling him into the water. Is it the most in-depth story mode? No, of course not, and that's a stupid question you just asked. But compared to Mario Party's solo offerings before this is the best one so far. Don't at me, bro. And finally, we've reached the end of the GameCube era of Mario Party. Again, you can see my creativity with names. This time around, our single player option is called Solo Cruise. Yeah, maybe should have thought that one through a bit more, Hudson Soft. In this mode, you play 1 versus 1 on a board of your choice, with the aim of completing a specific goal. Interestingly, this game decides to rub salt in the wound of my perpetual loneliness by giving me the option of playing this mode with a CPU or a friend. Dude, if I had a friend to play with, I wouldn't be playing solo mode. Landing on the first board, there's an initial rush of anxiety. At first glance, it appears like we're in the Mario Party 3 school of solo play and we're just gonna play a normal round of Mario Party. But that's not quite the case. The goal of this first board is to simply collect 2 stars before your opponent, and while that may not seem like much, it actually does help create a more compelling single player experience. Something about the goal feeling more tangible. We're not just playing an arbitrary amount of rounds and seeing whoever comes out on top. You're actively working towards something that feels sort of in your control. And it helps a lot that you're only playing with one other character. And this game at least has the common courtesy of automatically skipping the computer character's solo minigames. There are no minigame breaks after every turn, instead only going into a game whenever you or the computer land on a special space. While there is a certain amount of Mario Party random bullshit that makes solo play somewhat frustrating, it isn't nearly to the extent of a normal Mario Party round. Each board contains different goals other than just collecting stars, which helps keep it interesting. Some goals include reaching the top of this level with 100 coins, finding the chain shop with the star hidden in a pyramid. It's not groundbreaking, but it makes solo play a lot more engaging. Overall, Mario Party 7's Solo Cruise is definitely in the upper tier of solo Mario Party experiences, at least compared to the games that preceded it. Honestly, the biggest issue comes from the fact that, at its core, so many of the GameCube Mario Parties just feel the same. I know we often get frustrated at how Mario Party switches up the core formula lately, but this run in the series sort of suffers from the opposite problem. I still love these games, but their flaws really become obvious when you play them back to back like this. Then again, I don't think human beings were designed to consume 15 hours of Mario Party straight. That might be on me. And we've moved on to the next generation. The first Mario Party to be made for the Wii and the last home console one created by Hudson Soft. This time we get a Star Battle Arena. Yeah, it's not nearly as cool as it sounds. Mario Party 8's solo mode basically follows the same structure as 7, just with different boards and different goals. But this one is just worse. This came out in 2007. Right around a year after the Wii came out, and when nearly every developer who made games for the system was convinced that they needed to add motion controls to every single little thing. Nearly every minigame in Mario Party 8 uses motion controls. You have to navigate the menu with motion controls, you even have to flail around the Wiimote just to hit your fucking dice. It's just not fun. Don't get me wrong, when used properly, the motion controls can elevate a minigame, but they're used in games that would have unquestionably been better with traditional controls. As far as the actual single player mode goes, it's just Mario Party 7. There aren't really any meaningful changes to the mode, and because of the motion controls, this just feels like a worse version in nearly every way. I'll be honest, I stopped playing after the second level, where the goal is to reach the end with 50 coins, because I kept getting hit by random bullshit that launched me back to the beginning of the level. Again, this kind of stuff is fine when you're playing with friends and the experience is more about the fun of the randomness, but when your goal is about progressing through the game, it just becomes frustrating. Also, I don't know if this is just me, but does anyone else think this game just looks bland? It's like the art design is completely devoid of the normal personality that comes with Mario Party. The announcer's voice sounds generic, the boards and environments lack personality, and even the font seems off. If there weren't Mario Party characters here, the art design would make me think this was some Wii shovelware Mario Party ripoff. Yeah, if you haven't been able to tell, I don't like this game. It lacks the charm of the previous titles, and the motion controls haven't aged well. Its single player is fine, I suppose. Technically, it might be better than some of the older games. but I just don't have fun playing it.
Mario is bringing the party to Nintendo DS.
Back to the handheld world. Mario Party DS would be Hudson Soft's swan song for the Mario Party series. Released in 2007 for the Nintendo DS, this game was a welcome return to form for many Mario Partiers. The traditional get coins to buy stars gameplay made a triumphant return, and the DS's wireless download play allowed 4 people to play the game together even if only one owned the cart. This game is often fondly remembered, both for its return to form and for being one of the last traditional Mario parties before the series would spend the next decade in some controversial territory. So, we got a story mode. Oh no. At this point, I think I need a trigger warning before I see the word story mode in Mario Party. Mario gets a Sky Crystal, and shortly after, Bowser invites Mario and his friends to a feast, which they all just blindly accept and go over without questioning anything. Naturally, it's a trap, and Bowser uses this wand to shrink everyone and steal their Star Crystal. He tosses them, leading Mario and crew to gather their remaining Star Crystals before Bowser can. And we get to the board and my worst fears are confirmed. Once again, Mario Party Story Mode simply has you play through each of the game's boards like normal. I guess it really was a return to form. Don't get me wrong, Mario Party DS is a good game. The minigames are fun, the touchscreen controls aren't overbearing, and a return to the classic Mario Party format was very much welcome. It just sucks that it does so many things right only to make the single player mode an afterthought. So yeah, not really much to say about this one. The same complaints about Mario Party 3 and 4 apply here. Moving on. Oh god, can we go back? Nintendo handed over the reins to the Mario Party franchise to ND Cube, a studio that serves as a second-party developer and is fully owned by Nintendo. ND Cube's first crack at the franchise is perhaps the most infamous game in the series. It marked the most dramatic shift in the Mario Party formula. This was right around the time Nintendo really took that whole game should be enjoyable for everyone regardless of ability thing and may have gone too far in a few places. Instead of having every character make their own way around the board separately, now everyone was forced into this car and had to move throughout the board together. You're still playing against each other, but something about moving together just really zaps a lot of the spirit of competitive Mario Party. It's kind of the antithesis of what made the series special. The game's solo mode follows a loose story that sees Bowser stealing the world's mini-stars. Instead of collecting coins or stars, the boards have you collect mini-stars scattered throughout the level. As a single player experience, it's actually kind of fun. Wait, what? Yeah, I'm surprised to hear myself say it. What makes this game not work as a proper Mario Party with friends is actually what makes it good as a single player experience. Because you're all moving in one car, I feel much more invested during the computer characters' turns because what they do can affect me somewhere down the line. Mario Party 9's minigames are also less reliant on motion controls, which easily puts it above Mario Party 8 for me. The game introduces reoccurring boss battles, sort of like the Bowser fights at the end of Mario Party 4 and 5 story modes, except this time they're sprinkled liberally throughout the game. They're really fun, and a good reward for making it through a level. Maybe it's just because I played 10 hours of solo Mario Party before this, but the change in format, specifically from a single player perspective, really works for me. I still wouldn't want to play this if I had friends, or if I had some friends to play with. But honestly, if I had to pick between this and Mario Party 8, I'd go with this one every time. Also, for a Wii game, it looks great. It's widescreen, the charm and character that was absent in Mario Party 8 is back in droves, and it's just fun. Man, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because it's been 9 years since the game came out and I've accepted Mario Party's changes, but this game really isn't anywhere near as bad as I remember it being. I guess I'll hand over my true Mario Party fan card now.
Bella.
Luigi?
Oh yeah!
Up next is Mario Party Island Tour, released in 2013 and the first game in the series on the 3DS. This game's solo mode is called Bowser's Tower. Bowser gets upset he wasn't invited to a party Mario and friends are having. Dude, why would they invite you? So he spontaneously creates a pocket dimension and traps Mario and his friends inside. Where the f have these powers been all this time? The mode sees you climb Bowser's Tower to reach the Koopa King, who's waiting for you at the very top. Each level contains a minigame which you must complete to climb to the next floor. On each floor, you're stopped by some kind of bubble clone of another Mario Party character, and the same exact cutscene plays over and over again. Seriously, this is horrible. Every 10 levels or so, you reach a boss stage, and these bosses are similar to the ones in Mario Party 9. I'm mixed on Bowser's Tower. It's essentially a slightly more in-depth version of the minigame modes in Mario Party 1 and 2. But unlike those, you got a few cutscenes, items, and a wider variety of game types. I honestly do like the minigame selection in Island Tour, although there are a few duds. You do get to choose between 2 different minigames every round, so at least you have the option of picking whichever one looks more fun. The boss battles also go a long way to keep this mode from feeling as monotonous as Minigame Island and Coaster. They're definitely the highlight of the mode, and the progressive difficulty increase keeps me engaged. But in the end, it's still just a barrage of minigames. There's only so many times you can pretend to be surprised when the bubble clones come up, and come on, why are we hiding the bosses behind shadows? We can see you. You're not hiding from anyone. The final battle with Bowser is kind of underwhelming though, and is actually one of the weaker boss minigames in Island Tour, and definitely worse than the Bowser bosses in previous Mario parties. The round ends and Bowser tells you that the Bowser we just fought was fake and you have to complete the mode again to really beat it. Okay, this is some NES level of artificial lengthening bullshit. I'm not gonna offer my tacit acceptance of this kind of game design, ND Cube. The only Mario Party released on the Wii U came out in 2015. Unfortunately for many, the car gameplay from Mario Party 9 returned. Much to my cold and constant loneliness' surprise, there actually isn't a dedicated single-player mode in this game, making it the only Mario Party in the entire series to lack one. The main party mode is more or less the exact same thing as Mario Party 9, so there really wouldn't be a point to show it in this video. But there actually is a new mode called Bowser Party that offers a unique experience for one player. Bowser Party can actually be played with 5 players, 4 controlling the characters in the car and a 5th with the gamepad who plays as Bowser. The aim is for Bowser to catch up with the other characters and beat them. While the idea of playing Bowser does serve as an interesting take on the Mario Party formula, the biggest problem with trying to play this mode solo is that you spend most of the time doing fuck all as the computer characters spend the majority of the round playing Mario Party. It sucks. The Bowser minigames are fun, and I'll never get tired of Yoshi's face during the minigame loading screen. But there's a small selection of minigames and only 3 boards to choose from. Honestly, it just ain't worth it by yourself. It feels like years between your turns. Then again, this mode was never intended to be played by one person, and it is a lot more fun when you're playing with other people. At least that's what the internet tells me. The choice to leave any kind of dedicated single player mode out of Mario Party 10 is a strange one, but this also came at a time when Nintendo thought a double Yoshi Explosion was a good thing to put in a commercial. Par for the course with the Wii U. And now we're back to the 3DS for Mario Party Star Rush. The marketing for this game actually emphasized the game's improved single-player experience. Toad Scramble is the mode we're heading into, and there are some immediately noticeable differences. First, everyone is forced to play as Toad, which does frustrate me, but everything else is actually good? Everyone takes their turns at the same time, and there's no longer a straightforward path on the board. Instead, each player moves whatever number of spaces they rolled, choosing to go in any direction you want. Honestly, from a single player perspective, it's awesome. Star Rush is, so far, the only game in the series to solve the playing on a board with computer players problem that feels like it didn't compromise whatever the core formula of that specific Mario Party game was. Star Rush can be just as fun with friends or without. Alright, that's one point in my favor. The goal of each round is to collect the most stars, but this time there's multiple ways to do it. You can buy stars like a traditional Mario Party, or win them by beating the board bosses. Man, I gotta say, these boss battles are perhaps the best part of ND Cube's era of Mario parties. The minigames are fun, the boards are fast paced, and you can pick up Luigi and play as him, but all these fucking toads kept grabbing him from me. The boss battles are definitely the highlight, and I like how there's a healthy mix of working with the computer characters while also trying to score better than them to get stars. Honestly, this might be the best so far when it comes to crafting a single player experience that still manages to feel like a proper Mario Party game. The boards are a bit short, but after playing like 15 hours of Mario Party, I really don't mind that. The star bonuses at the end of each round kind of annoy me though. I just hate it when the game rewards you for being worse than everyone else. Sticking with the 3DS, our next game is Mario Party The Top 100. I remember when I heard about this game, I thought it might have been the best thing that would ever happen to me. I don't have a lot to live for, guys. The game is a collection of the 100 best minigames throughout Mario Party's entire run. After a lot of clamoring for Mario Party to return to its roots, being able to play some of the series' most iconic games was a very welcome idea. But then the game came out, and it ended up being one of the worst reviewed Mario Parties in the entire series. The game only contained one board map, and everyone came to the realization that I've been dealing with this entire video. And that's the fact that Mario Party with only the minigames is really not that great. The top 100 solo mode is Minigame Island. Oh come on, they didn't even bother to give it a different name? Yeah, it's just Mario Party 1 and 2 all over again. Just jumping from one minigame to another, nothing really special about it. I still think I'd take this over the earlier Mario Parties only because of the wider selection of minigames, but it's just super disappointing to be playing a game that came out nearly 2 decades after the original that features such a bare-bones single-player mode, especially after Star Rush made it a point to improve the single-player experience. Honestly, there really isn't much to say here. It's Minigame Island, Coaster, and Bowser's Tower all over again. I am sad. Super Mario Party. The series debuted on the Nintendo Switch, and a very welcome return to form. The car was gone, and the game once again resembled the classic Mario Party style. We're buying stars, moving separately, but several other modes keep the more experimental side of ND Cube's Mario Parties going. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Super Mario Party solo mode is called Challenge Road, and it says you have to take a journey down this path of 80 challenges. Oh yeah man, this sounds like it's gonna be good. It's Minigame Island again.